So I told you guys that I would let you know the scoop on the Poop Coupe. A lot of you come up to me in Texas at the LMR event and ask me about it, and I went ahead and disclosed all the information. But for you guys, it's time that you know what we're actually going to do with the Coupe. Now, it's not as crazy as maybe some of the other YouTubers, and it's nothing just out of this world, but I think you guys will really like it. And with these two cars parked here, I also think you understand probably what's going to happen. So I'll just go ahead and cut to the chase. We're taking the engine, transmission, rear end, everything out of the Coupe, and we're gonna put it over into the Calypso. Then we're going to take the dark block 347 out of this car, TKX, rear end, K-member, and it's all going in this car. So I'm sure you guys probably are asking a question, well, why would you do this? Well, for many reasons, actually. As you all know, the Calypso has not been driven a lot lately. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the blow-through setup that we have on this car. I want you guys to know that ahead of time. Nothing wrong with it. I'm so pleased with the Calypso and how it runs with the carbureted setup, but at the same time, I just don't feel like this is the right car for this particular engine combination, rear end, and all of that. Why is that? Well, the rear end is a full spool rear end, right? So this thing pops and creaks and chirps the tires as you try to turn. You guys know all about that, right? The idea behind the Calypso was always to be a Cobra tribute car, clone, whatever you want to call it. So I wanted something really nice to be able to drive. I love the 347. I love the power that it makes, but at the same time, it just doesn't feel like it's in the right car. Transition over here to the Poop Coupe. This is the car that we decided we were going to drag race a little. Now, I'm not going to go to the track every weekend. We're not going all in on this, but this will be the car that we probably do race. So we built a little 302 stock bottom end type deal here. Cam, stock heads. So you're probably thinking to yourself, well, that makes no sense. Why would you want to take the stock bottom end, stock headed car to the track and let that be the track car when you've got something like this sitting in here? So those were my exact thoughts as well. So I hatched a plan to swap drivetrains. Now, I knew about this early on. I figured I was probably going to do this because this is the lighter car, being the Coupe. They do tend to work a little better as a drag car. These hatch cars are pretty soft. They're pretty unstable. They twist and shit like that. A Coupe is a lot more rigid car. This car can go back stock bottom end, stock heads, with the turbo. So we are going to leave the turbo on this car. 10 pounds of boost. It should be a really, really fun car. Now, we're not leaving it carbureted. There again, I have no issue with the carburetor. It works great, but I want to go back fuel injected so I can put the stock hood back on the car. There again, a Cobra tribute car. There's a couple things I need to respray, really clean this car up nice again, and I want to drive it and enjoy it. So the carburetor that is currently on this engine will go on the new 347, which is why I bought a 750 instead of a 650. I know a lot of people had questions about it as to, why would you do that? That's why, because we were going to put this in there. Now, at some point, this will end up being a 363 because it is a dark block. Right now, it just has a 347 with a cast crank and forged pistons, okay? So nothing super crazy. It's got a Scat 9000 crank, and yeah, it'll hold pretty good bit of power, but probably not the amount that we're going to want to try to push through this thing. So we're going to have a nice T5, a nice built rear end that's not crazy. It's got the factory limited slip in it. I'm going to put it all in this car, and it's going to be so sweet, man. We're going to be able to drive this thing around. There's the plan. There's the big plan that we've got for these two cars. But if you're being honest with yourself, doesn't it make more sense to do it this way? To have this as the nice car with my, factory style, maybe even some makers, Cobra wheels back on this thing, cleaned up again and driving around. And honestly, this car should be the race car, if we're being honest, right? I mean, this thing's stripped down, it's gutted out, makes more sense. But we're not done yet. There is a couple of other things I want to talk about. This car will have a cage in it at some point, probably nothing crazy. More than likely, we'll just put a 6-point roll bar in the car. We'll weld it where we can weld it, and we'll do everything that we can do to make it as safe as possible. Also, we're going to put some Sky Rod door panels in this thing. We've already started dynamatting. Don't look at the junk in the back. We just come back from Texas. But as you can see, we got dynamat in this thing, and it really helped out a lot. We will be putting some race seats in the car with harnesses, so that'll be cool. Other than that, the interior is pretty much going to stay about the way that it is now. Suspension wise, at some point I'd like some really nice Vikings or QA1 or some type of coilover, maybe a anti-roll bar in the car. Who knows? We'll just kind of go ham on it as time goes on. Something I want you guys to remember is we did do this car on a budget. I did what I said I was going to do. We did it. We accomplished it, guys. You helped motivate me to get this thing done, and we got it done. We've achieved it. Now, you guys are still expecting me to take this to the track and get some times, right? I'm all for that. I completely agree. We'll get the car to the track at some point, and if something happens and the tracks start to shut down before we're able to go, we'll at least get the draggy out and we'll do some testing and maybe even run it against Andrew's car on motor. I'm hoping that we can get a 100 shot or 150 shot on this thing before we do the engine swap. Now, my buddy Ben does have a nitrous kit that he said I could buy from him, so we may do that. Guys, I know I've let you down in the past. We've said we're gonna take this thing to the track. I think we only took it to the track one time. I don't know, I'm just not into the track thing as much as I used to be, but something like this where there's no expectations, you just take it to the track. If it falls on its face, you laugh about it and you enjoy it, you have fun with it. The expectations will go up on this car as well as soon as we put all this stuff in here. Something you guys may not know about me if you're new to the channel is I grew up kind of at the track. I grew up drag racing, bikes, cars, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, dirt bikes, anything, but I have spent a lot of time at the racetrack. I'm no Neo Mustangs or no Turbo John or no 5.0 Tussin. No, I don't go to the track that much, but I do know my way around. I chose to get out of the track life because it took away so much from my life, so much from family time and actually enjoying these cars. Because if you guys don't know, once you start going to the track and you start trying to build a race car or a fast car, you start to lose focus on it being nice. And it quickly becomes a car that's not really a daily driver. That, yeah, it's fast, but it's kind of got one purpose. I'm not going to try to sell you guys on it. I think most of you understand and you probably get it and you're like, yep, that makes sense. But for those of you that don't get it, I just want to keep this one nice. I want to drive it around, enjoy it the way that it was meant to be enjoyed. Not that you can't, but it's not as fun. And then we'll make this one the little beast. So there it is, guys. There's a big plan. That's what we're doing. We're going to swap everything around between the two cars. I don't know, it just, to me, it makes perfect sense. We're gonna have a nice T5 that we got from Handling Motorsports that we can actually use now, that we don't have to go out and abuse, right? Because we're gonna be asking a lot out of this T5 at the track with nitrous and everything else, not, you know, to not break it. They're not meant to do that. Can you do it? Yes, you can do it, but you gotta be very careful, and you're probably on limited time. Now, this car over here has a TKX, so we can really beat the shit out of it. Not saying that it won't break either, it very well could, but less likely to. So, that's the plan, guys, but I'm gonna leave you with one more thing. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I very well could get started on it in the next week or so. We're going to transform this car into something completely different than what it is. It's gonna be wild, it's gonna be cool. You may have seen something like this before, you may not have. We're gonna do some cool stuff. Just trust me, I'm gonna leave it there. There's a lot of changes coming with these cars, and it's gonna take some time. It's not something I wanna rush through, but I just wanted to let you guys know. So we just got back from Texas, and I have a ton of footage from the LMR cruise-in. So my buddy Ben videoed everything. So we've got a lot of the interactions with you guys. I need to look through everything, make sure that that's gonna be suitable, you know, to put out on YouTube. I don't wanna get too personal. You know, a lot of the stuff you guys were telling me, I'm not gonna put that out. You know, I appreciate the honesty, and you guys really opened up to me, and it meant the world to me, but I don't wanna share all of your, you know, personal stuff with the world, right? So I'm gonna pick and choose some good clips, and we'll get that posted up probably later this week. The LMR cruise-in was awesome, guys. It always is, but this year was just crazy. People got to go around the track. If you missed it this year, maybe you can make it next year. It's something you need to put on your bucket list, I promise you. So with all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up, and as always,